Hi guys, it's Michelle. I'm starting to cover a lot, as you saw last week, on the CDC guidelines about just being an overall worried parent. Now I know lots of you guys have 9-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and so forth, and we're here to help everybody. But I really want to start going over now the milestones, and not to say what the worries are. Guys, we can start with movement any day. You can start it with me, you can start it with your child. Movement is a vocabulary, and it's the way our bodies organize. When I say, how are you doing? And you say, fine. You're moving into fine. You're moving out of fine, right? Even people that do all these emotional releases, it can't really be truly done and successful unless you're doing it and incorporating that with movement. Like even with post-traumatic stresses and all those kind of things go around movement. Not muscle memories and so forth, but the way we move and organize our movements, right? And that's what you're here to learn and help. Now, most people see me as special needs, and I get it. Nobody wants to think about their baby being special needs are okay. But one of the key issues that some of you might be going through is NICU time. Now, I have warnings for NICUs over really 2 days in the NICU. You start to go into, as far as I'm concerned, a high risk category, but that high risk can be worked with from day one. However, what you're looking for in your newborn baby, right? There are 4 key signs with your newborn, right? First of all, that they have a good respiratory or breathing responses. Even though they had complications and they're breathing fine now, if that's the case, you want to jump in and make sure that they have a really good foundation in breathing. Now, I'm not talking about that their pulse ox are at 98, the pulse oximeters or oxygen levels. I'm talking about that full breath. How's another way you can tell that is crying. Does your baby cry? This full cycle cry, or is it more of a or not at all, right? That cry, the reason the cry is important, right? Not to get stressed out that your baby's crying. That cry is there to create power from the inside out. Remember, in the womb, your child's not eliminating. They're not breathing, they're not pooing, they're not eating, right? There's nothing about expansion in the womb. That first expansion happens with the second they get out. That whole big, their lungs expand. When there's complications with respiratory responses, you really do have to watch that in your child, because if they can't oppose gravity, they can't have that force within them at birth, right? The chances go up really high that they're not going to be able to do their vertical milestones without some kind of movement intervention, or what a lot of people think of as therapy. And that's where you have to get involved with their child right away. Right? Another thing is looking at is, are they reaching? Now, not this kind of reach, right? When you're working with a newborn, their bodies reach from all directions. They look like little snakes. Their ribs are reaching, and that snuggle and all of that, that's a reach, right? They do it through their heads, their bodies, and all of that. Erin has a brand new baby, and she can show you something like that if she hasn't already. And then also, are they able to, quote, lie down? Now, lying down is not just on the floor. It's that whole lying down, that whole, I should be able to go from here to here and then back up again. Something I refer to as the absolute horizon, where no matter where they are, it's space. Babies don't need a floor to know that they are horizontal. Those are really 4 key points to look for. But what you really want to look for, by the end of the week, I'm going to have a lot of little specials for you. I have a NICU to home checklist. I have your baby checklist, all what to start to do to get organized, whether you're in the hospital setting or not. But also, again, too, I can't stress enough, if your child's older, but you've had NICU in your life, it's something to look at to say, these foundations maybe could be strengthened. And that's going to be your go-to charts of where to look for. My 99 Super Baby Secrets, all of that is there for you and for free for you to start checking up on your baby. Again, notice that the CDC milestones doesn't mention anything until the 2-month level, and they really don't go into high-risk babies. I think they assume that because a baby's high risk. You know that, the doctor knows that, and you guys are working on your own program. Another thing that I don't look at with NICU children, because again, once you start growing, it's proportions. And a lot of people do this age adjusted, where if a baby is born 8 weeks premature, then they take 2 months almost off their age and say, well, my baby's actually 2 months old, but they're 0 because they would have been born. I get that, but I don't recognize that. I want to start seeing those kind of milestones, these simple little milestones, but very important foundational milestones right at birth. And if not, we're going to have to work on it. And you can do it from the day your baby's born or 5 years after the fact. It's something that is, again, a foundation that needs to be a part of your life. And this is something that I'm working on this week. I'm going to start showing you a couple of videos that I have worked with actually in the NICU and worked with NICU babies. And please, your babies can be stimulated right away. Remember, they need to initiate movement, and lots of times they can't. There's brain cooling, there's pulse oximeters, there's IVs, there's head IVs, there's PICC lines. I can go on and on. NG tubes, intubation, cannulation. These are there to keep your baby alive, but when your baby goes to make a movement, right, they can be restricting. And so when a baby gets restricted in movements, then they don't venture out and say, I'm going to work on that a couple of weeks from now. They will deviate, and or they may deviate. And that's where you want to get in and start working on those skills. Thanks so much. So again, this week are for NICU to home, #NICU to home, and that's what we're working on. Thanks so much.